So on the evening of July 7th, 2016, as Trump was kind of rising to prominence there, I was out filming a protest. This was a Black Lives Matter protest. It was the day after that guy, I think, outside of Minneapolis, Philando Castile. It's funny, I remember his name, but the protesters don't even remember his name. He was the guy whose girlfriend started live streaming in the car after the cops shot him when they told him to grab his wallet out to show his concealed permit. So they're out there marching for him, and I'm out there filming it. I don't go to these things to start trouble. I'm not there to argue with people. Bob can even testify to that. He's been at countless of these things, that I was at. I'm just there like a fly on the wall. I film what happens and I post it up. I'm more apt to ask questions if I'm at a politician's town hall that's a publicly elected official. But when I'm filming protests, I like to be a fly on the wall. So I'm standing there filming the speakers on the steps, much similar like this in downtown Portland. You have hundreds of people in the street, not a single uniformed police officer to be seen. Now that's kind of contrary to their own directives, which state there must be a strong visible police presence. I personally have seen, countless protests where they have at least a couple rows of bicycle cops along the side, at least at first, kind of keep helping to redirect traffic and whatnot. So I'm just standing there filming it. Next thing I know, I got a mob of these thugs surrounding me. They got their masks over their faces, they're carrying their anarchist flagpoles, which I personally have seen used as weapons to smash out windows during riots and whatnot. So they're making a beeline straight for me, and they're led by a guy named Benjamin Carenza. He is a very, very large guy with a very lengthy criminal history. He's been in and out of federal prison 3 times on a variety of different charges, in and out of county jails. So they start encircling me from behind, and they start pushing and shoving me, going, "Get the fuck out of here, get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "Hey, don't put your hands on me, don't put your hands on me." And I start backing away immediately. Obviously, these guys mean business. Obviously, they intend harm upon me. So it's stupid for me to stick around. So I start trying to back away immediately. People talk about this duty to retreat thing. I was trying to retreat just because it was the prudent thing to do at that point in time. So I'm backing away. A bunch more people come running into the scene. It's a chaotic, dynamic scene with people running in and out. I got all sorts of people up in my face screaming and yelling at me, people from all sides of me. So I'm backing up the block here. And I'm trying to get away from the situation. I'm backing up the block for 40 seconds after this guy started pushing and shoving me. And then another guy is circling around my back at this point. So my attention is diverted this way to this other guy circling around me and the bulk of the mob coming up that way. And I happen to notice out of the corner of my eye, the big guy, Carenza, who started the entire altercation, is now coming up on my blind side. I happen to catch him out of the corner of my eye. At that point, I had every reason to believe that these guys were just seconds away from pummeling me into the pavement, robbing me of my camera gear. I had my computer gear in my backpack. I wasn't going to try to turn and outrun these guys. So at that point, I felt as though I had no choice. So I drew my gun straight on these guys, and I said, "Get the hell back. Everybody needs to get the hell back." Fortunately, everybody stopped and or got back. I'm very thankful for that. Now, I was trained to shoot until the threat has been neutralized.
Yeah.
In my case, the act of me drawing the firearm was enough to neutralize the threats. So after I had it out for 7 seconds and everybody had gotten away, the threat was then neutralized and I reholstered. I continued retreating. A few other people came up to get in my face. Another guy came up and pushed me. But it had not reached the elevation of threat like in that particular scenario. When the police finally showed up, they jump off the riot truck. It's odd. The Central Precinct Commander at that time, Chris Davis, Assistant Chief, felt that this protest warranted having riot cops in strategic positions all along downtown, but he didn't feel it warranted having at least a couple rows of bike cops. Which is it here? Is this something that gets your attention, or is this something that doesn't? Seems like there's two contradictions of tactics there. So when they finally showed up, we're now 2 or 3 blocks away from where it all happened. They jump off their wagon, they draw their guns on me, they order me to the ground, and I tried to explain to them, these guys attacked me, the big dude who was then, maybe from here to the just the edge of the street here. So he was still somewhat pursuing me, even as I was trying to get away. And I tried to explain, these guys attacked me, I tried to get away, I acted in self-defense, I'm a concealed carry holder, I have my license in my pocket here. They didn't care about anything that I had to say. I implored them to watch my video of what had happened. They didn't care about any of that. So they tossed me away. They sent me off. And I'll try to keep this short. You can go on my YouTube channel for longer explanations and all the video footage from what had happened. So I was initially charged with 2 misdemeanors of menacing and disorderly conduct. So I show up the next day at 2 o'clock for my arraignment. At this arraignment, this prosecutor, Kate Molina is her name, she pulls out this phony police report that I didn't even know existed, that someone had filed about 3 or 4 weeks beforehand. This guy named John Slaughter, who my only interaction with him is that he got in my face at an event about a month beforehand, screaming and yelling at me. He files a police report claiming that I was sending him threatening race-based text messages and voicemails, and that I have ties to white supremacist organizations, and that I drove by his house with my hand in the shape of a gun pointing towards him. Now, I barely even know who this guy is. I don't care who this guy is. Last thing I want to do is go around doing what he's accusing me to do. In fact, the night he's claiming that I drove by his house,